Hello, and welcome to the Meditation Movement podcast with the British School of Meditation.
In this podcast, we will share all things meditation, including showcasing the wonderful work that our register of meditation teachers are doing all over the country and further afield in helping so many people benefit from this amazing practice.
Meditation and community are our two biggest passions, and we can't wait to share them both with you in this space.
So sit back, relax, maybe even close your eyes, and don't forget to breathe. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hi, this is Sarah Presley from the Meditation Movement podcast. I am super excited today to welcome Charlotte John from Wayfinder Meditation. Charlotte, welcome and thank you for joining us with this podcast today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sarah.
Super. So, a little bit about you is that you are now based in the Loire Valley in France. And you moved just around Brexit, or was it just after Brexit? Am I right in understanding that?
Yeah. So Brexit happened, and we decided, that did we want to move to France? We knew that we would absolutely be moving from the UK at some point, but Brexit absolutely made that clear that was the time for us to go in 2021.
Exciting. And you're originally from Kent, and your business is called Wayfinder Meditation. You're the founder of Wayfinder Meditation. But what I'm really, really interested in is the fact that you had been in NHS, in healthcare for 20 years, and you made a switch. You decided it was time to make a change, but you've kind of, that there's still an element of you still supporting that sector as well, even where you are right now. So tell us a little bit kind of like how that change came about.
Yeah, so as you say, 20 years acute NHS Foundation Trust in East Kent. So everything from the front door to the back door. And I think I started finding the stress of the job quite challenging. I didn't see it myself to begin with, and other people started to see that stress and anxiety come out with me with work pressures and those life pressures as well that kind of all pile up on top of us. And I would say that meditation started in my journey when I was just coming to the end of that career, and I just found that I was 40 years old. I was so emotional. Someone suggested meditating to me. And at that point, I just thought, it's posh napping. It's a bit woo. Yeah, no. And because you come from a scientific background, and I'm an anatomical pathology technologist, so I'm qualified to know anatomy, that actually this kind of meditation and mindfulness just didn't fit into my scientific sort of like narrative and body. So, I tried it. I was like, yeah, no, this isn't for me, all the things that we hear. But actually, I left the NHS at that point, and a couple of years later, the stress, the anger, if I'm honest, had got so bad that one day I was driving to work and I hit the car in front of me on a roundabout. I just drove into it. I didn't care. I didn't care if I died. I didn't care if I hurt the person in front. And it was an awful realization of where I'd got to, that I was so built up on this life anger and stress, and I couldn't work out where it came from. And I think it was a real wake up call for me. I was like, this is not me. What is happening to me? And so I realized that I really needed help. Again, I turned to meditation. So I've been dabbling for 3 or 4 years in it. And at that point, I started, and I could see some of the benefits, but I went to the GP at that point, and because my mood swings were just so erratic. We were, 1 minute I was shouting and screaming like a banshee, and the next minute I was crying, because somebody hadn't loaded the dishwasher properly. It was so erratic. So I went to the GP anyway, because I thought I had a personality disorder. And he said to me, you're going through the menopause. I was perimenopause.
Wow.
Now I'm an intelligent woman who works in healthcare, and I just did not see this coming. It was a real shock that one, was experiencing it and didn't know about it, and two, that how it was affecting me. But it was a light bulb moment. So I think having that kind of moment on the roundabout where, I hit the car in front of me on purpose, and then finding out that I was perimenopause, it just all clicked for me. And so that's where I started to see that meditation could really help as a navigation tool for the menopause mindset and some of those symptoms that I was, suffering from. And I think hindsight's a wonderful thing, because if I look back now, the reason I left my career within the NHS was probably because of menopause, and I just wasn't coping at that point. So we all do that, we all shift. So that's where I started to find that meditation was such a powerful tool. And as I've gone through my journey, I started to see actually how it can benefit. And that's why now there's kind of that shift for me in using meditation and learning how to teach meditation so I can teach others.
And I know that an area that you do work in is supporting women with menopause symptoms, which is great. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that later, because it is so on topic at the moment. I don't even like saying so on topic, but it really is. But it's great, because we need to make sure that this is talked about, and that there's an understanding out there. But let's go back. So that moment, it's kind of like you were shunted, for a moment, from where you were into a whole new place, with that realization, with meditation already there at that point, which is incredible. So was there a particular meditation at that point that you like to turn to that would really, help you in when you were dealing with the kind of, I guess, the ripples, of that situation?
Absolutely, Sarah. I think for me, that first one is how can I control how I was responding to the external things around me. And so I learned breath meditation to learn that control. So for me, that was the first thing that I learned. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out.
Beautiful.
And
it's so simple.
So simple and yet so powerful. So in those, like right from the beginning, I was breathing in and breathing out, like, all day. I found myself. And when you start to focus on the breath and bring your awareness, that conscious awareness to the breath, you can then start to see, I started to see how I was responding to these external situations. It is still my favorite, even now. I play music and I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. It's my anchor, it's my focus. And sometimes we can change the labels that we put onto that. But another powerful one, I think, especially depending on where you are on your menopause journey, is that loving kindness. And for me, at that later stages of menopause, I found that where I was losing that loss of confidence and that identity in who I was, because, we're born with an identity. We're born a female. We're somebody's daughter. We become somebody's wife, potentially. We become a mother. And then all of a sudden, at the time when menopause hits you, the children have left, and you can suffer from that empty nest syndrome. It's like you're left with this identity of who am I? And I think those changes to your body and the changes outside, you really start to look inwards on yourself. And we can be so critical, can't we? I mean, we are our worst enemy, and we wouldn't let other people talk to us the way that we talk to ourselves. And so I think, depending on how I was feeling, absolutely the breath meditations really helped me with that stress and that grounding and that anchoring. But loving kindness is one that I think we should all practice from such a young age, because it is so important that we find that connection within us and learn to love us first before we can love others.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, it's the cultivating of compassion, and it's kind of, you've got to build up that bank account, you've got to build it up inside so that you've got more to give out. There's that famous saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's so true, isn't it? And I think, loving kindness,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think what's really compelling on that is the science behind it. You were saying earlier, science is your background. And so for you, when you learnt that there was scientific evidence that supported, this practice, did that change things for you?
Yeah, I think right at the beginning, that was probably my biggest barrier, is that I didn't understand how meditation could help or change the brain. I'd heard that, we change the way your brain thinks, and and for me, I didn't know enough about it. But once you realize that the research that has gone on, and we've come so far in seeing the benefits of meditation and mindfulness, it really is impactful. And I think it helps us to normalize meditation now. It's not this practice that is kind of associated with a religion or a belief. It is a practical scientific tool that has been proven to be able to help you manage your stress, change your neuro pathways, help you sleep. I mean, Sarah, all of us struggle with sleep, and I think it's underrated. Everyone knows, and especially in menopause, we really suffer from sleep, from hot flushes in the night, from jumpy legs to itchy skin, you name it, it'll all come at you at night. And it really is that thing that helps us function in our daily life. So really understanding all of that scientific evidence has made it so easy for me to normalize it and bring the practical benefits to my students so that they can get over that barrier as well, because that's probably one of the biggest barriers that people come to me with, is that, what is it actually doing to me? How does it actually work? What is it going to do for me? And having all that scientific evidence and background to back this up is really key to the practice for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, people live really busy lives. And so if they're going to make an investment with, time and money, they need to know that it's going to be worth it. So I think it's great that, where we can bring that in straight away and say, this is how this is going to help you. This is proven to help you in these areas. It's like a floor stopper, isn't it? In that moment you can see it on faces that, hey, if you commit to the practice, it's worth it. You will see results. So again, a little bit of a rewind here, because you were finding meditation helped you. I think you were probably seeing that then, well, this could help other people. And then you decided to train as a meditation teacher. But this was all around COVID. Am I right in understanding that?
Yeah, so I started my own meditation practice properly with Mary, who was local to me. She was a meditation teacher with the British School of Meditation and one of the founders. So I started with her in 2020, and together, I really saw the benefit. And she suggested that I might want to teach in meditation to others. And it was because we'd had plans to move to France, and the whole big dream was to come to France, the Loire Valley, open up a wellness retreat, and have people come to us for that reset. And I was going to offer meditation as part of it. COVID happened. My husband moved to France without me, and we were separated for 9 months because of the COVID. So again, meditation in that respect helped me as well, because, I was having to deal with a lot of pressures at home, being on my own, and then also, with, that separation as well. So we'd planned to train, and then COVID hit. And it was just like, wow, how do we now? And I think everything changed for everyone at that point. And it changed for the way that the British School of Meditation was going to have to teach, because everything was in person and we needed to move online. And so I was I think I was one of the first student groups to be online. So that was it was a real challenge. But I worried that we weren't going to get that connection over online as you do in person, but actually it worked so well, Sarah. And for me, it really opened up that opportunity to now teach online. Yeah. I was, for a business, an in-person business means that you are restricted by location in some respects, but now COVID had brought on this online community and this online teaching, and businesses have just been able to, flourish with this online. So for me, I trained in 2021. It was all on, all online, and I really enjoyed it. It was great. We learned together. Some of the things that we did, we were new to, so we learned from each other. And Mary really, brought that together in her teaching style, which inspired me to teach others in that same way.
Yeah. Mary Nilsson, of course, one of our previous trainers, really inspiring teacher. Yeah, you're lucky that you learnt with her before she retired. So yeah, fantastic. What aspects do you think of the course you enjoyed the most? What bit did you feel was like this? I really got a lot from this.
At that point, I knew that I wanted to work with women in menopause, and I'm still in the healthcare industry now and sector. So for me, I wanted to see how I could bring those two together. And I actually ended up doing my presentation, which is part of the training, on midlife and menopause for midwives.
Wow.
So yeah, even back then, I knew that this was two areas of the business that I wanted to bring together. So I loved doing that presentation because it really cemented it for me, and the feedback that you got from that was really good. And there was no kind of specific meditations at the time that I wanted to do, but I guess, like I said before, that history and that science really helped me cement that. But what I loved was about the journaling part of it as well. So that really helped me reflect on my journey and what types of meditations I wanted to learn. And I learned so many different ones during this. We all think, oh, it's all about breathing and gratitude and loving kindness. And there's so many other different types of meditation that, if that didn't work for you, we were taught other ways that actually, well, if that's not working for you, we can change it. And what I learned and what I loved about it was that everyone has the ability to make their meditation practice unique to them.
Yeah.
And that's what we learn. We all had the same brief. All our students, we all had that same brief, but we all came at it from a different perspective. And I really loved that about the course. It let you find yourself in your own meditation practice.
Yeah, I felt the same when I came on the course. There was a part of me that wanted them to give me a manual and say, go and teach this. But I think I would have felt cheated if that was the case. That there was this beautiful opportunity to say, teach from your heart. And I think that's so important, and utilize your experience. Here's the knowledge that you need to know. but you teach in a way that feels comfortable for you. So I love that you felt that as well, just like I did. And with the meditations, I remember describing it to somebody that I felt like a child in a sweet shop. That there was
Yeah.
so many beautiful choices, and even if I didn't like all of them, it didn't matter. Really didn't matter. I could
Yeah.
still teach them if I wanted to, because I knew that other people, because that were on the course, might had liked those, and that they were still beneficial. Yeah, fantastic.
And I love that, finding what works for you. And sometimes we did them with, we could do them with music, and you can do them without. And actually, that's a really big difference for people. And so it really gave us the foundations, as you say, and the foundations of meditation. And then what I've done is obviously change that to my audience. And I know, some of the other students, they've moved into their areas, and really, really great to spend that time. I think a benefit of that was just meeting like-minded people, and knowing that we're all on the same path of wanting to help people, manage life, I guess, manage change,
Yeah.
and just be a little bit happier.
Yeah, that there is another way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I really love that you took what was a difficult time in your life, but you turned it into a positive by saying, okay, that was a difficult time, but actually I want to use that because I want to help other people that are going through what I went through. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. So, and this is now your business, this is what you're all about. So tell us about your courses that you teach and who you teach to. And obviously it's women and it's about the menopause, but who's turning up?
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Oh, we have all of this, and I never thought it would be just on menopause. There's such a vast wealth of benefits for anyone, who in life. But for me, because I'm now post-menopausal, so I've gone through the whole journey over 8 years, and I've seen the benefit of meditation and different meditations throughout that. So I really started to look at how the brain changes and how our hormones make us change, at different areas, whether we're of our experience, whether we're in perimenopause, menopause, or post-menopause. So those 3 kind of transition areas. And so my course really does focus on those sort of big hitting symptoms that we can experience. So from hot flushes, brain fog, which is a big one, sleep, weight gain, and then really around that loss of confidence and that menopause mindset. So the whole course, we talk about meditation, and then so we look at the symptoms that you're might be experiencing, and then we look at different types of meditations that can help alleviate some of those symptoms. So it really gives the people that are coming a really good understanding of what's happening from the science of meditation, from the science of your hormones, of your body and biology, and then the really good tools around meditation and mindfulness that we can use to navigate this transition through this area.
Yeah.
And people that are coming to me, I mean, yes, they are in menopause. They're coming to me on the course because mainly the loss of identity, loss of purpose, and confidence. I think that confidence and change really is the big part of us, because it really impacts not just our own well-being, but how we perceive ourselves and how we think others see us in the workplace. So I work with corporates, but both public and private corporate organizations, and individually with people, just to really help understand how can we create an inclusive, menopause-friendly work culture that really helps retain some of that workforce stuff. Because, we're at an age where we are so knowledgeable and so experienced, and yet it comes at a time where we find that we are doubting ourselves so much that, a bit like me, I left my career because of it. And that's powerful. And
Yeah.
especially in healthcare, when you've got 88% of the workforce are women, now every single one of those is going to experience menopause in some way, shape, or form. And everyone's, unique in their journey. But how can we help retain that workforce, that knowledge and experience? And that's what I'm finding is meditation and mindfulness is really impacted in those areas.
And it is about getting the subject out there. I've had a few people say to me in the past, well, women have had this for years, but they just got on with it. Why is there a big fuss now? And I often say, well, women had to be stoic before, and now we're saying we don't want to be stoic,
Yeah.
and would you agree, that if has anybody posed that question to you as well?
I think it's generational as well. And we have to accept that women are more in the workplace now.
Yes.
Whereas historically we weren't, and there's such a stigma around it. So whilst did we just get on with it? We did, because there is this stigma around having this. And so now we're in an area, we're in a society where social media is having a positive impact in a way in, like for me, in being able to talk about my story and saying, actually, it's not acceptable anymore that we're going through this, and that, it doesn't just affect us, it affects everyone around us. Even men say, or, doesn't affect me. It will, because if your wife or your partner is having mood swings like I did, then absolutely that is going to affect you. And the same with children and in the workplace. So I think whilst it has been a taboo, and there's stigma surrounding it, you're right. We want to stand up now and say that we are capable, resilient, knowledgeable, experienced women, and we're going through this. But actually, there are now tools and medication and, a lot of things that have now been put in place that can help us through that journey.
Yeah, and I think you just touched on medication. I think a lot of what we're about is not to say, well, let's just push medication to one side and only meditate. It's about everything complementing one another, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely. I was lucky. I used meditation to help me through that perimenopause, because my main symptom was anger, stress, and mood swings. But as I transitioned out and I'm post-menopause and I thought, oh, I'm done, fab, it's all over. Actually, that's where anxiety and that loss in confidence absolutely hit me like a brick.
And
I was like, wow. So I started HRT at that time. So it's not about, as you say, Sarah, it's not about replacing any other treatment that you might be having. This is just a tool to supplement and support that. It's a free, your breath is free. And it's so powerful. And if we can learn to tap into that, it will just really help us find that grounding and that balance in life, in menopause, to deal with all of those situations that we have to do.
And it's because if you think about, every symptom is going to contribute to you not feeling safe in some way. That every symptom is your body screaming that you're feeling under threat. And so when we focus on the breath, the relaxation response, can kick in, because it will recognize, oh, I'm safe now, and it can calm down. So I agree. It's a complement. It's not always, the replacement of anything else. It's definitely there as the complement in those moments. So
absolutely.
So I know you were mentioning that how your meditation practice has sort of transformed. There's lots of loving kindness, and I understand that you start with gratitude as well. Tell us a little bit about that, because that sounds lovely.
I find that gratitude is the real anchor for me in finding my that positive attitude, and that's kind of what it is. It's how do we how do we react to everything? And we can be positive or we can be negative. And we have the ability to change how we feel. So for me, I don't meditate in the traditional way of listening to a meditation, a guided meditation, and thinking about gratitude. For me, I'm so blessed that I'm able to go out and I do kind of like a walking contemplation meditation. So I've kind of mashed them up as my journey's gone along. And this is really about going for a walk in nature, connecting, and just being grateful for everything that I have. Now, sometimes it's hard to be grateful, depending on, you could have a bad day at work and, the kids could be at you and I know, bills coming, whatever it is. But sometimes, finding gratitude in the small things is where we start. And if we start small, and that's all we need to do. And a really great tip is before you go to bed, just say to yourself or to your partner, 3 good things that happened today. And it really helps you connect to that good, positive feeling for you to sleep. And for me, I do that in the morning, about 3 good things that I'm going to take through for today. And that just could be the sun shining. If it's raining, I'm thinking, well, the plants are going to grow. I'm so grateful for that. If I'm driving, and I'm stuck in traffic, for example, you might think, I'm so glad that, so grateful that I have a car.
Yeah.
And I'm having to walk today. So there's some really small things. It doesn't have to be on a really big scale for people. But for me, that practice now is connecting with nature and just that more contemplation about all the things that I have in my life to be grateful for. Yeah. And there's a lot, Sarah. There really is a lot.
There is. And I often describe before meditation, you walk around with your head down and your mind is either in the future or in the past. And then once you start meditating, once you've been doing it a little while, heads up, you're just noticing. And then you can feel that gratitude because you are in that present. And it, as they say, it's a gift,
It is a gift, yeah. And I think that's what's great for people. We teach them the basics and we teach them different meditations. But what's great, what I love to see is when people come back to me that I've taught and they say, I've changed my practice to this and I now do this and this. It just becomes part of your daily life. You don't think about it. And sometimes, I love to meditate usually for around 20 minutes a day. Some days it just doesn't work for me. And I think, okay, well, I'll do 5 minutes and that's good enough. And I think because you've learned that practice, you're not so hard on yourself about changing your practice or not, not sitting down and giving that focused attention, because actually that gratitude and mindfulness and loving kindness is just all around you all day.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's better to do something rather than nothing. So, rather than beat yourself up for not getting the 20 minutes, you're better off doing the 5 because that's better than doing nothing at all. Yeah. I could talk to you all day because this is just, I find this whole subject, about menopause and how meditation can help. I think, we're just at the tip of the iceberg with this. There's so much more that we could discuss, but we are going to have to sadly bring this to a close. But what I would like you to just tell us is how can people connect with you and how can they come along to your sessions? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who would really be interested in how meditation can help them with the menopause.
Absolutely. And, if you're out there, I think it's about understanding that you're not alone. And I would love to connect with you. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Charlotte John. I also have a page, Wayfinder Meditation. And my website is wayfindermeditation.com. And it is just focused on meditation for menopause. So my course is Pause During Menopause. And I would love to have a chat, but also, just if you've got any thoughts or fears around meditation, just come and ask those questions, because I believe, Sarah, you'll know this, they won't be alone in some of those myths that we like to bust right at the beginning, for them to understand that meditation is is something that they can actually practice within their daily routines.
Absolutely. And what about the bosses out there, the people that are running the organizations? What message have you got for them?
Yeah, if you're running a company, please, from a corporate perspective, menopause-friendly workplaces are fundamental to keeping that and retaining that workforce. And I would love to work with you to understand how we can not only improve the benefits for your staff, but actually the benefits that your business will have in terms of efficiency and productivity, but mostly importantly is around that inclusive workplace culture that really supports women that are transitioning through this menopause experience.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. Like I said, I could talk to you all day. It's just been really enjoyable. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And hopefully we'll get you back again in the future.
Lovely. Thank you, Sarah. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.